All right, my friends, welcome to another What's Your Story. I am so happy to have this guy in the house, Jay Harangue. Man, brother, you're like a guilty pleasure for me, my friend. It's so cool to get to be able to hopefully share some of what's been on with you to everybody else. How are you doing?
Yep, I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
You've only been, like, as far as I can tell on YouTube, a year or so, like not a real long time. So give everybody a little bit of the history of how you got to this point.
Yeah, it's coming up to 2 years. So how did I start? I had a couple of friends. People have always told me I should do a YouTube or a TikTok because I'm, one of these people who's like offensive and makes people laugh and things like that when they think they shouldn't do. And like if you do go under a guise of a false name, then you get away with it on YouTube. So I've always considered it, but I've not really had the time. But then since actually I've had the time. I just haven't been bothered. But like a couple of years ago, I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And I was going to do sort of more political stuff. But then, yeah, it's quite hard to keep up with, what's current. And I thought, the one thing I do know about is Lifetime movies. So I've always been like a massive fan of Lifetime movies. But I thought the audience wasn't there, so I mixed in some of the old like 90s soft porn stuff. That's always been my guilty pleasure, has been Lifetime movies. In fact, I don't even feel guilty about it. I think considering what's coming out now, Lifetime movies, I think is the least of anyone's problems. So so that's how I got started. Started about just coming up to 2 years ago. But my channel immediately got destroyed by bots, essentially. So I woke up one day. I thought, oh wow, this is good. I'm getting tens of thousands of views on this video, and I've got 800 subscribers. It was all nonsense. So what had happened is I had an up next recommendation on one of my videos from an Indian soft porn film that had clearly paid for engagement. So from those people, obviously, the percentage are told to watch the whole way through and press the subscribe button. I got on the end of that. So while it was exciting for me for a day, I knew it was rubbish because I went in and checked and I had, hang on, I've got 800 subscribers. Hardly anyone's liking this. There's zero engagement. And the engagement I have got, none of it's in English. Checked where the views were coming from. They're all from India and Pakistan. But I don't care where the views come from, obviously, but it was just nonsense. And I knew it was rubbish. So that has put me on a rebuilding process for the last 18 months, where I've had to pretty much get back to where I was, so that YouTube doesn't think my subscribers aren't watching my videos, which will kill a channel apparently.
Yeah. So yeah, wow, that's crazy. Because I know there's I had a massive boom after the RR Indian movie become a big thing and made an Oscar. That kind of thing. And so I reviewed a whole bunch of those Indians. So I have a whole bunch of people who came in because of that. But of course, these are movies that are 3 hours long. They're subtitled. I don't have access to all of them easily. So I've angered probably that fan or disappointed many of those folks by not sticking to that regularly. But I wasn't going to rebrand myself as just an Indian movie. I just happened to watch like a bunch of them that were good. Like I hadn't seen them before. They recommended all these movies and a lot of them were fine. But to sit down and do a 3 hour subtitled movie now, it's not a big sell for the wife. So I can kind of feel that pain too, where it's like, even if you have legitimate viewers on the other side of the world, half time they don't care about some of the other stuff you do. They just like the rest of us, they only care about what they care about.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even. I'm actually a fan of like the late 90s, early 2000s Bollywood stuff, but I wasn't even talking about it. It was just it happened to be like an up next recommendation, and obviously because at that point I wasn't on the partner program, I couldn't go in and complain to anyone and say, "Hang on a minute." But I was worried that people were going to look at it and think it looked like I was buying subscribers, which it's embarrassing anyway. But like for someone my age, that's really embarrassing to have to to be seen as someone who has to pay for false engagement. I mean, I know there's people who do it, and I'll type a few names in the private chat later. But the other day, the thing is, it will destroy these people's channels. I saw someone like rocket from like next to nothing to a couple thousand. I thought this has got to be nonsense. So I had a quick look, and for all I know, this person may not realize it. May be the same thing that happened to me, but the person might be just in complete ignorant bliss about this and think, yes, this is what's happened. I've finally grown. And just be totally ignoring like the fact that he hasn't got any likes or the fact that he hasn't got like any engagement. He could genuinely believe that that's the case. I don't think so. But so either that person's been botted like I have, or that person's paid for subscribers. Either way, I'm telling you, it's a hard slog to get out of that, because you're going to wait. It's like if I made a really popular short about my cat, which I haven't got a cat. But, you know, I'll make a popular. Oh, look how cute my cat is. When my my long form content is about Lifetime films, unless you actually link those shorts to what you're actually doing, it can destroy your channel, because like you get 1,000 subs off the back of a short about your cat, and then people go, oh, I'll subscribe. Just press the subscribe button, because, you know, they're essentially autonomous things, aren't they? These people. And then like, I've seen it before. I saw some kid. It's not a member of the community, but I saw he got 1,000 subscribers on the back of a clip of a 80s sitcom. And the next, then I saw his next video, and it was 1,000 subscriber celebration, and he's literally like almost in tears, like going, oh, "I'm so grateful, thanks so much, I've done it, right?" And that video where he was doing that, 12 views. And it's like, you have destroyed. Nobody is going to watch your long-term content now, because YouTube thinks that your subscribers aren't interested. So that's it. You may as well start again. And maybe I should have started again. I don't know, but I was already invested in that stuff. So I thought, no, I'll just crack on and power through it.
Wow, that's a crazy starting point, jumping off point. I mean, yeah. Okay, I haven't had that. I haven't run across someone with a story like that before. That's great. I know people have a lot of what you said too, like the higher level views of, you know, maybe this person's not getting engagement, or they don't do live streams or whatever, things like that. And I see a little bit of everything, because I do dabble a little bit with shorts and live streaming. So you see just crazy patterns. Like, it really is challenging to give YouTube what they really want, because they kind of want a mix of everything. They want engagement, they want whatever. But reality is, you could have, like you said, it could have a boom in subscriber count, but those are not people. They sure like doing shorts on the toilet, but they're not interested in sitting down with me for 2 hours and talking about some movie, or literally hearing about some British guy talk about how he doesn't have a cat and got a bunch of people in India to like his channel. So I totally understand.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, so like shorts, YouTube want the shorts because they want the number of shorts to compete with other platforms. Totally fair enough. But they want you to do them, but they don't care what it's going to do to your long form channel if you do them. They don't care about the repercussions of that. They just want them out there. So I remember a time, just when I started, I think, well, you have to do shorts, you have to do shorts. I was like, I can't be bothered to do shorts. And if I do shorts, there's a lot of people that do it really well. You know, the shorts are essentially adverts for their long form content, which is great. And that works out. But, you know, YouTube tells you quite clearly how valuable a subscriber is from shorts, right? So they tell you, in order to get onto the partner program, they tell you either have to get 4,000 hours of watch time, or 10 million views from shorts. Right? Now, I've worked that out. So the equivalent for me would be that makes sense because of the watch time I get per view. The equivalent of that for me, so that tells me and tells everyone, YouTube are basically telling everyone, one normal subscriber is worth 125 short subscribers.
Wow.
And I mean, that's not my figures. That's what they're telling you. Each person can work it out, but it is crazy. So, yeah, and if people want to be shorts channels, that's great. And some people get millions and millions of views, and it will still make them money. If you're into making money, some people just want to upload whatever they can and just to see what happens. And some people have a vanity issue about their subscriber count, which I suppose I get that. You know, we'd all like more, but not if they're nonsense. Trust me, I've lived with rubbish subscribers for 800 rubbish subscribers. Well, probably 775 of them. I did get a few lucky ones that people that comment and like. But you know, I've lived with that, and it is bad to get out of. And it's a struggle, and it set me back a year for 800 subscribers. Just imagine what it's going to do for people who are buying 2,000-3,000.
I just like the fact that we're having that kind of conversation, because it's kind of news to me. I don't really spend a whole lot of mental energy on actually most of the data. I actually am enjoying looking at the data of what's happening in the last 7 days. I look at like what people are watching. Yeah. I don't really get into the quantity, because sometimes the quantity numbers kind of ping around, but I find it interesting. I'll find like if someone's watching like an old video will make the top 10 or something like that. It's interesting to me. But as far as what you're talking about, I don't spend much energy on. I just do, and then just kind of let the chips fall where they may. And if my life evened out long enough, maybe it would matter more. But you know, reality is you do what you can do when you can do it. But we got to fill in a gap, because between what Jay has described, this is what you'll get on every one of his videos. So here's a sample.
I'm Jay Harangue, and I've wasted hours of my life watching terrible films.
You should subscribe.
How do we get from there to this? Like, this is like, I'm going to build a pattern of talking about certain kinds of movies?
Well, I mean, the thing is, these things come out constantly. Like these Lifetime films, I think they come out about 3 times a week on the Lifetime Movie Network. They're definitely 2, and and they're all brilliant. Well, when I say brilliant, if you like, there's a stalker, like Stalked by My Chiropractor or whatever. If you like that sort of thing, it's just same film essentially every time, but there's always different actors who are different, who are terrible in their own ways. So they're constant. So I constantly get recommendations. Oh, you need to watch this. I got one today. You would need to watch The Wrong Tutor. And I say I've actually seen that, but some of them I just can't. Some of them are so bad I can't get through. But yeah, that's how. It's just you start with 1 or 2, and then everyone's like, do this one, do that one. And I see so many of them anyway. So we don't have the Lifetime Movie Network here. It's actually banned. Well, not banned, but you can't access it here. So what we have is Channel 5, which is a terrestrial channel. You go to Channel 5 on demand, and they give you movies. They're under different titles, UK titles, but they are the same films. And it's, again, aimed at similar people. I'd say mostly women, middle-aged women who are at home when the husband's at work. So probably middle America for you, but for us, it's like middle England, who sit there and spend their day watching that. and I love them. And I watch them. I've watched them since the late 80s. Because I grew up in California, and that's where I got into it. But since I've come back here, they had a channel here called True Movies, which was always on. And me and my mum got into it, and I still watch them now with my mum. Every time I go home to my parents' house, me and my mum straight away, right, let's find some crap film to watch on Channel 5. And straight away, it's always brilliant. We just read the descriptions out. They're all hilarious because of what nonsense they are. And then and we pick the most ridiculous sounding one, always laugh through it for whatever reason. And I thought, if I'm laughing at this, there must be. I mean, when I speak to other people in real life about Lifetime films, they're like, "What the hell is that?" But like, they don't understand. So if I can reach people and let them know the value and the quality of life that these things bring to me, then maybe they'll get involved as well. Who knows?
You save me a lot of time. I have to be honest. I enjoy the fact that you will do your little 5, 10, 15-minute summaries, and I'm good. I've not had to watch that movie. And I, like you, I already knew going in, many of them have these formulas, the same actors. Some of them have like the same title. Like, literally, we're just changing a noun or an adverb or something like that. It's just, it's so derivative. It's actually insane, that kind of thing. Are you surprised at sort of the feedback from other people? Like, hey, listen, I'm not the only crazy person that likes to laugh along with these.
No, I mean, I knew they existed, but I didn't know. Like, a lot of the people that I've got, my subscribers that are into these Lifetime movies, a lot of those, they're mostly female. Then a lot of the people that just laugh along at the jokes and how mean I am about the actors, they're mostly male. Yeah, so it is, and I don't mind where my subs come from. I mean, I think I'm 80% male, which apparently is quite low for YouTube. But I'd say I don't mind where they come from. But I do get
80% male. I mean, that's a lot of women, actually. 20% female is way more than what most of us run. So most of us will run. And again, I've done like other types of YouTube work before this. So like even into like news and politics, religion, all that kind of stuff. 8 to 12, 15 is kind of the norm. It's pretty rare to have a channel that's not, a makeup channel or something that's very, very focused on women, to have something that's but again, I guess, it's Lifetime movies. Maybe they're Googling like what a movie's about, and they find Jay Harangue, the man without a cat, who has the Indian people laughing along with him about how bad the latest Lifetime / Channel 5 movie is. So that's fun.
Well, I'm pretty confident I can reduce that percentage of female viewers by just showing my face, because you'd be surprised how that happened when I was doing my live streams. People were like, "What? Off?" I mean, it's crazy. But I'd say I don't do my lives anymore, not just for that reason, but I just need to focus on this business.
You have a good voice for it. I mean, you have a deep sort of radio voice, so with the UK accent and stuff like that. I mean, it seems it feels like a very natural fit. And I don't know what type of other narration that I would use you for, because you do have sort of a comedic flavor that seems to come very natural, which I think is what you alluded to earlier, right? You're the guy in the group that just likes to, make us all laugh a little bit at the absurdity of life.
Yeah, the insecure idiot that likes to make fun, make light of serious situations. That's probably what it is.
Well, not all of them are serious. This is probably my favorite. This is, I mean, of all the things, I could do a whole series of just this.
Right. Gene's like, what happened here, Steve? And Big Steve's like, Gene's trying to get Big Steve to sign a statement, but he's like,
I know it's coming, and I'm like you. I snort, I laugh. I'm like, because Steven Seagal was so. Because I grew up. We're not too far off in age. I mean, I'm older than you by a lot, but you were old enough to at least know Steven Seagal existed and was a star and all of that, right? But growing up in that, it was so big and so ridiculous, and people were exaggerating all these martial arts actors into absurdity. I mean, it was just, I grew up with like the Bruce Lee thing and all the mythology that came around with that, and like, other than Chuck Norris, who you feel like actually could hurt you, like you actually feel like Chuck Norris actually does a lot of them are more like stylistic martial artists and things like that.
Yeah.
But with Steven Seagal, he got so heavy and just still feels as though he's the alpha in the room. And then for you to mock him in this way, it's
pretty risky, really, if he ever finds out. It's not that he's going to find out, but I'm probably one of the few people who was still, to this day, incapable of running away from Steven Seagal. But as most people can make fun of him, think, "Oh, that's all right. He's massive, but he's never going to catch me. He's going to catch me." He doesn't like to walk though. He doesn't even walk. Apparently, he gets. So I watched Space Ice, and he pretty much focuses. His channel focuses almost 100 solely on Steven Seagal and bad action movies. And some of the stuff he says about Steven Seagal is so cruel, but it's all true. I mean, it's so funny. Steven Seagal is just now a figure of fun, and what makes him so much fun is that he doesn't realize it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know much about like the real life persona other than kind of what I have projected onto him. So I almost worry that it wouldn't be as bad as I would expect or something like that. But the absurdity of the movies that he puts himself in and the stories that he puts himself in, you hit the nail on the head every time. It's like, he does this, he has an absurd line, he does whatever, he sees this girl, they bang, let's get back to the story. It's like, they're all so absurd. You're like, what is happening? And you've captured it so well. I could have a whole Steven Seagal playlist done just for me. Just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell he has, I mean, the thing is, he obviously is the producer of a lot of his most recent films. And, even if he didn't cast these women, he's going to be told, so this is your girlfriend in the film. Now, if someone did that to me, I'd be like, no, this is ridiculous. That person wouldn't go near me, wouldn't touch me with yours. Do you know what I mean? There's no way. So he's obviously, I'll agree to that. That's fine. And, and then they say, oh, this is what you say and this is what you do. And he's going to have agreed to it. So even if he didn't make the stuff up himself, which I believe he does, I think he writes a lot of these scripts. I mean, Attack Force is the classic example. That's generally seen as the worst Steven Seagal film, I think. When I asked people, they all said, oh, it's this one, hands down. And then there's like a fight for second place between about 5 or 6 of them. But yeah, I mean, that is so bad. And the fact that they've ADR'd his voice for half the film, I mean, he must have been, he obviously was asked and he just said, no, I'm not coming back, just get someone else to do it. And the guy that they've got doing it, so that it goes from Steven Seagal to a guy that sounds like 90 years old. It's like Mr. Furley's doing the second half. It's ludicrous. Yeah, sorry, that's a aged reference. That is, sorry.
I made it a Mr. Furley reference. It's the fan. That's like Mr. Furley is the go-to for that. Probably not much else in life and references in pop culture, but the Steven Seagal voiceover actor is Mr. Furley. We got it.
Or I think it's more like Mr. Roper is the one I meant, the one who was married, the one that was replaced by Mr. Furley. Yeah, but either of those will do. Yeah,
that'll work. How come there's not, or would you consider? Because to me, this seems like it's perfectly up your alley and would still fit within the vein of the channel to do. Why is Barbie bad? Or why is, because Madam Web's not out yet. Like, why is Madam Web bad? Or why is Madam Web good? Like, flip it on its head. Like, you're like, oh no, Madam Web is, talk about trolling the internet. Why Madam Web is good. And you have an entire video that's basically Jay Harangue, but it's also with like, this is bad, but you don't know bad.
What? So as in instead of doing my this is this, it said this is brilliant and just sarcastically. Well, I could do, but to be honest, I don't want to give this stuff any any more oxygen than it already gets on the internet. Like, it is crazy how many people still talk about it, and I get it. I mean, I'm right there. I'm not in the trenches of this culture war, but I'm fully support these people that do it. I don't know. I just don't really want to touch. Well, I mean, copyright issues aside, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these people, like Disney, will be all over me for that, because I do use quite a lot of clips. While it is transformative, I don't want to be going through legal channels to try and, but especially for I make the money I make off this is not worth it. But no, I haven't really considered doing stuff like that. Or recent releases, and I think it is sort of going off brand does get me a bit. Like, even with Steven Segal, I mean, I got a lot of new viewers through that. So a guy, one of my subscribers messages me on Instagram quite a bit and says, "I think you should do this, I think you should do that," and some of his ideas are really good. He says, "What you want to do is you want to do the occasional other type of film and use that as a gateway drug to get them involved in your Lifetime stuff." And that's pretty much why I do the Steven Seagal and the best of the best and the Mac and Me stuff. Is as a gateway drug. So maybe if it worked like that, I might consider doing that. Yeah,
I was greedy. I was trying to go for a bigger hit movie, something that's just so. It wasn't trying to take you off brand. I was almost like taking the Steven Seagal principle and trying to go a little greedy, and not even trying to throw you into the culture war with those big name movies. But even if you just did, something a little older, even if you did why Captain Marvel was really great, and just like you're flipping it on its head about which is the sarcasm of, wasn't it brilliant that she just beat this guy down effortlessly and stole his leather jacket for absolutely no reason at all, and didn't have to face any repercussions from the police, so. No, I get it. And I do get the copyright issue, because we've had to transform how we do Talk Hard and other shows that we do so that we minimize, because you still will get a copyright claim. You might have to clip something or whatever, but we try to find ways to minimize that significantly. But the battle is forever. I mean, they can always come at you and file. Some of the stuff's AI filed. I don't think there's a person filing a claim against, little o' me with my couple thousand subscribers. It's just the computer, the algorithm just picks it up. So that makes sense.
And also, I mean, I would rather give the Lifetime Movie Network and a VPN, £15 a month combined, than pay for Disney Plus. I mean, I don't want their figures. I don't want my viewing to be added to their figures of how successful they pretend this stuff is. That's another thing. I mean, I just really just want it, like, get away from me, you horrible people. And I do think these people are horrible people. I mean, they've destroyed a lot of things that people love. I mean, my friend G, who you've probably met on the show, he used to be a big Star Wars, big Marvel fan, and just you can see him like pretending to be all right with certain stuff, and then it just gets to the point where he's like, right, that's it. No, I'm not doing it anymore. And this is a guy who like loved Star Wars. And you can see a lot of these channels, these people love Star Wars. Like, they're not just like, oh yeah, Star Wars is all right, like I was. They loved Star Wars. Like, that is a big part of their life. And they've had that. And of course, they've still got the old stuff that they can go back and watch. But just they're constantly like having their hopes raised and then just smashed down. So I can see the anger with these people. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I can see why these people are angry. And I support them 100%. And my way of supporting these people is not by whinging about this. It's by withholding my money from them.
Okay. All right. Well, it doesn't appear as though Lifetime is going to dry up anytime soon and deny you of content opportunities. So I wasn't. I was just throwing out there some thoughts. So you mentioned a little bit about why you don't live stream, and is it just you kind of mentioned a little bit of why you don't do shorts? You just don't have the interest in it and that kind of thing. How was it that you kind of fell into this will be my technique and my sort of approach to voiceover and editing and that kind of thing?
I didn't really have a choice. Well, I mean, I did have a choice, but so I was a musician. So the music you hear on my channel is all mine. And so I've got like Ableton Live. I had a lot of, had a reasonable microphone. I had all this stuff. So I thought I'll use what I've got and I'll do that. I didn't have a camera. And so I didn't want to show my face really at the start. So I just used the microphone. I recorded a script and did it. And so I haven't changed the whole way through. The whole way I've kept pretty much the same process. Record the audio, chop it up, put it into one, stick the clips over the top. But the hard thing about what I do is going through, watching the film twice in the movie editor, in the video editor, and chopping up the clips that I want and then writing the script around it. That's what takes the time. I actually enjoy the editing process. I don't enjoy watching a film 3 times.
Yeah, I can't stand that part of it. I've had to come up with techniques to, and then I get bored. It just wears you out so much that you're just like, I want this project to be over. So I sadly live with a lot of flaws and blemishes with my approach, because I'm like, this is what I can manage for, because of a lot of that. Like if I start doing this, it just wears you out. Then you don't want to do anything. That's the last thing you want. You don't want it to become not fun. You need it to be something you enjoy doing, especially when, like you mentioned before, it's not as though this thing is paying our mortgage. It's not as though YouTube is dumping a truckload of cash out in the front lawn. It's you're doing this as a passion, first and foremost. Believe me. So it's awesome. What has been the response from folks that knew you from before to now, to like, and maybe you don't take it as a moniker, right? Because my son had to call me out on this. The Jay, you're a YouTuber now, but you're not just a YouTuber. You're a almost parody is not the right word, right? What's the right word? You're a satirist of Lifetime movies. YouTuber, satirist. What's been the people that knew you from before? Maybe even like you said, your mom. What does mom think about little Jay being a YouTube mocker?
Well, my mum thinks it's quite funny, but she'll only watch the ones that she's seen. So she only see, because otherwise, just my parents are in their mid-70s. Most of my, so I didn't tell any of my friends I was doing this. I didn't even tell my girlfriend I was doing this, even though we lived in the same house. So I had to sneakily around, because what I didn't want is I wanted organic growth. I wanted people to watch it. That's what I'm always saying about this. I wanted people to watch it because they wanted to watch it, not people. I didn't want people to subscribe and go, oh yeah, that's my friend. He's doing this, so I better show support. So I only told them, like I tell them if they ask, but I generally don't tell people. And a lot of people are like, "Oh God, he's doing this now, is he? He's not. First it was a band, then it's this." They probably think it's some ridiculous get-rich scheme that I'm hatching. But no, so I don't really tell them. But yeah, some of my friends think it's funny. Some of them it's just not their sort of thing. There's like, what is this? I don't understand. Like, why are you making these videos and putting them online? Why are you so weird? I mean, a lot of people think that most of my friends are normal, so they're like, YouTube isn't that for kids? Like, yeah. So no, I don't really. I get mixed feedback, I suppose, from them. But people who watch it generally enjoy
because. Oh, I froze up. I was just going to say, okay.
Go.
I said, I think that's fat. Okay, let me start again. Let me take a soda break. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Yeah, I feel very torn by a lot of those kinds of like strategies and advice and family and whatever, because, because I did Pops and it was on and off as like a side thing. Cause I actually was doing other YouTube stuff, radio stuff for other people. Yeah. And then it was like, all right, I want to do it for a little while. And then couldn't do it. Life gets in the way. Too many things. And then it's like, do it for a little while. Life got in the way. It's like, so, but over the time, I ended up with like 400 or 500 people, which are mostly friends, family, people I knew from church, other YouTubers at the time, blah, blah, blah. But are they watching Pops now? Every now and again, I'll run into somebody like, oh, you're doing YouTube again? I didn't know that. And they go in and you can see them like a couple comments or whatever. And they probably don't, they're not into YouTube. So it's like, that's not their thing yet. Then you'll find someone who you've known a long time, and then suddenly they're in there like every day for weeks, and then they vanish again. It's like, so, I mean, I guess that's not significantly different than myself, but I mean, I guess to each their own.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. That's fine. What would be your advice for someone starting out? Let's say, because I have a friend, I just try to encourage them. They do something that it's not my thing, but I'm like, yeah. Let me give you some of my experiences. What I would say to someone who's just starting out. What would you say?
I'd give people the advice that nobody else gives anyway. That everyone gives people the opposite. So, whatever you've got, don't worry about it. Just start doing it and see how it goes. I look back at some of my old stuff and I don't think it's very good, and I can see why I've had a lot of people viewing my channel who I think they're not going to be particularly impressed and probably won't be keen to come back. And I think it's because I should have really honed in first and perfected things. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like things to look right. I like things to come across right. I think to have a decent microphone and setup is important. To have audio, and the audio is really important. Like, if people listen to bad audio, and a lot of people that just listen to YouTube, I'd say, if you're going to invest in something, like at least a reasonable USB mic, and don't don't shout into your laptop, because it is unbearable. I mean, if I'm turning things off because it's unbearable, and I'm a YouTuber who watches YouTube all the time, then other people have just got no interest. So I'd say try and do things properly as much as you can. Have some quality control.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of the first part of, like, you have to get started. You've got to get through your first 100 you suck at this before you can remotely be good at this. And that can be, yeah, the audio is crap. I need to go spend at least $150 on a mic. At least you got to spend, a little, you know what I mean? I totally agree. I think the biggest thing is just for people to realize if they really want to do it, because things always sound like it could be a fun thing to do. And then when you're in it and you realize the work part of it, and that's like, if you don't just start doing it. And again, I've said first world problems is you're in the United Kingdom and I'm in America. Both of us live very remotely. I'm literally like a national park. It's not as though we are in like a city with a fiber optic cable and StreamYard just sucks. It's like, this is like magic.
It is
magic at our world.
And some people will grow up never realizing that this is the magic that we are experiencing, because they'll just think it's normal. But, I remember when Skype first came out.
Oh, when I trust me, if this had been around in 2000, between like 2008, 2010, my life would be different. I would have already been somewhere. I either would have had my show, or something would have broke through, or I would already just be producing someone else's show, because everything to do what we're doing at that point, when I want to say my career started, I did stuff before then, but that's when it really kind of got serious. It was expensive. I'm talking about, like, a lot. It was a lot of money to have this type of content being created. And it was a very controlled thing. It's like only radio stations and certain TV. And it was like, now it's like, dude, I'm in my office on my lunch break. You're in the UK. It's magic that we're having these conversations.
And video editing. I mean, just how, and people, and music production. I mean, a lot of people complain about, oh no, it's just kids at home on their computers. I mean, that's brilliant that a 15-year-old kid can sit at home in Norway with his computer and come up with like a #1 dance track. I think that's brilliant. It's complete. It's taken a lot of gatekeeping out of it. And so, video editors are incredible. I mean, I use the one that I get free with my Mac. I have tried to use other ones, but I'm just so used to this one now, so I can't move on. But it's incredible, like how readily available things are.
I should leave the glitching in and then just cut to one of those technical difficulty buttons, and then have this whole part of our conversation where we're praising the magic of us, because I couldn't agree more. People ask me to do videos and like, how do you edit and whatever? I says, you'll never watch my channel again, because you'll realize that I use some antiquated system and antiquated process, because that's what I know and it's easy. The amount of time it will take me to learn something new and change my ways. So back to the conversation, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm enjoying just hanging out. Jay's one of these people, folks. You need a break and a smile. Click over to his channel. The links are in the description, and just do that. Now, how did you get connected to like Ryan's channel? I don't know where else you're doing regular shows, but I know you're on with Ryan pretty regularly.
Yeah. So I saw Ryan on because I've watched Hypnotic's channel since from very early on, actually, when he started. I've never really been as I say, I was just a viewer, so I wasn't really engaged. I didn't have a channel, so I didn't used to comment or anything like that. But I've watched him for quite a while, and actually I have to say, like, he straight away, he's one of exactly what I'm talking about quality. Like, that person has gone totally all in and done high quality, like graphics, everything about it is quality, and it improves all the time. Like, I've noticed a few months ago, his audio massively improved, his visuals improved, his backgrounds improved all the time, constantly improving. Anyway, I watched his Saturday night hypnosis show, which I watched quite a lot, and I saw Ryan on it, and I thought, what? Who the hell is this guy? Like, it said he was Ryan is an interesting guy. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, he's from my part of the world, so I think I watched a couple of his videos, and I left a comment on one of his videos about, I don't know, my thoughts on socks or whatever he does, and he said, "Oh, thank you very much. Have a good day." I thought nothing of it, and then someone said, "Oh, this guy's made a video about you." So I went in and watched it, and he made a video about me. I said, "Oh, thanks. Do you want to come on my live stream?" He's like, "Yeah, okay." I had a chat, and then I got on his, met the people there, and that's how it went down. But yeah, Ryan is a very interesting character. People love Ryan. Like I saw, like, so he did the Sturgis interview a couple weeks ago, and Drunken Peasants, who are like big time Sturgis detractors, they got hold of the video and they played it on their show to a lot of people. They've got 100,000 subs or whatever. And they were absolutely loved Ryan. They were going, what is this guy? He's like English or something. and in walks Ryan's dad, and Ryan's like, "Shoo, Papa, shoo." So yeah, that's and it's also like a nice guy. I mean, however he comes across to certain people, he's a nice guy deep down.
My wife still to this day doesn't believe he's in his 20s. She still thinks we're being trolled.
Yeah. The thing is, there are people that live in certain areas of the UK. Don't mean to sound like a snob, but they do look like they sorry. So like there used to be this program like called the Jeremy Kyle Show, which is like Jerry Springer, where they bring out like the worst, the absolute human litter, right? And if someone, so it could be like someone would come out with a cane, right, as in a walking stick, and they'd have like a totally white hair and wrinkles everywhere, and like there'd be a hunchback, and you'd be like, "Oh, that guy's got to be at least 70, 80, and they'd be 35. Do you know what I mean? They just age differently. So it could be in Ryan's genetics. I don't know, but yeah, he doesn't look like your average 24-year-old.
No, not at all. And yeah, but no, it's a great opportunity for you and others to have great conversations. I love what he does.
Yeah, no, he's very good, and he's a nice guy, and he's definitely good fun.
Awesome. What do you do? Because when we talked about, we kind of skirted around modern entertainment, letting other people down so much and that kind of thing, and you talk about not wanting to engage in so much of that, and there's so much noise from it. I totally get it. What do you do? Do you still do some music? What do you do to sort of like enjoy yourself?
No, I'm afraid I'm a drink and other stuff person. I'm a party person, so I will do this throughout the day. So my life over the last few years has been so I've run a business, a property development business, and I haven't had to actually do anything. So so since 2015 I've done nothing but YouTube in the day, party at the weekend, essentially. So that's what I do to have fun. Now it's obviously not very healthy, and the signs are there. But I'm trying to cut that down. Now, unfortunately, my business has just collapsed in the last couple of months. So I am now going to be working for the first time since I retired in 2015, which is going to be a bit of a shock to the system, which will cut down my the amount of time I could spend on YouTube. But yeah, that's what I do for fun. I mean, when I watch stuff on TV, it's like, I mean, to be honest, because since I started doing this, I find it really hard. People say, "Oh, you should watch this." I'm like, "No, I've got Lifetime movies to watch." Or, "You should watch this. You should watch this." How bad is it? Oh, it's quite good. No, not interested. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got to the stage where this has dominated my my. I haven't been to the cinema for ages, but the cinema I find is ridiculously expensive here. Like, it is for someone that, like, I don't just have to watch the film, right? Because I have to sit there for ages. I go through Diet Coke like it's oxygen, right? So I would have to have a massive, like, big old thing of Diet Coke. Obviously, I have to have the biggest popcorn because, and then and I can't really have popcorn without Maltesers. I like Maltesers, and the Maltesers there are like £5. Well, that's what they were. They're probably about a tenner now. So, like, a trip to the cinema for just me on my own is probably about £30. Then, no doubt, if I'm going with someone else and forcing them to come with me, if it's a woman, I pay, so that's going to be £60. So yeah, it just gets very expensive when I can just watch stuff, get stuff from what they call the high seas. And everyone these days I've got a big old TV with a big surround sound system and all that business. So, like, and I get to lie on my sofa with my special pillows, and you can't do that at a cinema.
Well, and there's 80 years of content. It's not as though these people should have seen this coming. Like, you've given people like 80 years of cinema, and you've given us like, so many decades of TV. It's like there's more than a lifetime of content that you could just watch decent stuff in your downtime. But I'm kind of with you. I'm having a hard time where if I'm not going to get content out of it, why do I want to spend time on it? Now, I will admit that I I've had topsy-turvy stuff happen in my personal life. I've actually tried to enjoy myself lately. And Mrs. Pops and I did venture to the cinema recently, and it wasn't worth the money either. I kind of felt kind of a reminder of, it is kind of a big financial. That would have paid for like whole services for like a year for the two of us to go to the theater, and like yourselves, we enjoy all of the experience of it all. Like, what's the point of doing it if we're not going to take it all in? So
but if you don't mind me asking, what did you watch?
We watched Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
Oh, I watched your review on that, so I won't ask how. I've seen a lot of reviews on that, and I'm really disappointed.
I'm sort of devastated, and that's part of the reason I did a live stream where I had to have a way of stream of consciousness, because I get called out a lot of that on my videos where I do a video and it's just a lot more of just me emotionally emoting, and people are like, "This is boring and it's confusing. You don't take notes and you're all over the place." I'm like, "Yes, because that's what this is for me." So I'm like, "Well, I'll do it as a live stream, so I won't be called out as bad," because there was just so much to go through. And I think I said in that video, and I stand by it, I think as people digest this movie or dissect it, it's going to get even worse, because there's just so many things that were just like thrown against the wall and don't make any sense, especially if you think about it for 2 seconds. But that's modern cinema. That's modern entertainment in a lot of ways. But well, listen, brother, man, I tell you what, close 40 something minutes, even if it's 30 something minutes, goes by fast. And I love what you do, man. I love what you do. And
thank you very much.
More of it. And good stuff. I didn't do it in the last week. I forgot. But this year, for Watch Your Stories, I do let you guys ask me a question as well. So feel free to think about a question. But again, to the folks that are out there, make sure you're checking out Jay. Give it a whirl. If you just need a laugh, hit the Steven Segal ones. I'm telling you right now, just he's so on the nose with some of the absurdity. And I think that what he'll find is he doesn't need to pick on just Steven Segal. He could pick on a few other action stars as well, or 80s and 90s things that are just about as absurd. Like, why is certain things so bad? They just don't age. And some things just don't age well, which would be right up Jay's alley. So with that said, my friend, a question opportunity for you. You want to ask me a question?
Right, give me a minute.
He was.
I don't know why I didn't think of this. I didn't think that was the one I watched was with what's his name, Troy Pacelli, and so I don't think he asked you a question.
No, we talk regularly. Troy doesn't need a question. We just don't. Yeah, Troy and I have just we're friends from distance. We just got to figure that out. Yeah. All right. Well, we can skip.
Okay.
The
no, I got one.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So, who would if you could do this format interview with anyone on YouTube? Who would you do?
Anyone on YouTube, at all?
Yeah. Anyone at all.
Not any other random human being. Like, I don't get a chance to do this with Elon Musk kind of thing or something like that. Just more like
and you can't have dead people. No Elvis.
Yeah. No, cool. Yeah, I want to make sure I eliminate all that kind of stuff from people in the chat, because they're all like, no. I would probably okay, I'll be honest. My dream would be to do Gary Nerdrotic, but we're just going to talk about comic books for as long as he'll give me. I don't want to hear about his origin story again. I don't want to do all the stuff he did. He talks about all that all the time. We got it. But he's a guru at comic books. But I very rarely get a chance to because when I met him in real life, we started talking about Daredevil comic books, and we were sitting there, and my wife's like, he does have other people to talk to. I'm like, yeah, but Gary and I could do this, and this is so. Yeah. That would probably be the top of my. It would just be fun to do type list. So that would be definitely one for sure. I would like to do. I think that for me, I don't have a problem asking just anybody anything. It's more about scheduling issues. So I don't really have sort of like a dream list per se. And more like what would I talk to that person? Like if I got Tom from Midnight's Edge, I just want to talk about turtles. Turtles and working on
Teenage Mutant Turtles.
Or he's big into like turtles fandom and gremlin fandom and things like that. Like finding like little nuances like that. That would be more like, that would be kind of fun to do, like that kind of thing. So that's more
I know Mephisto's had Tom from Midnight's Edge on his a couple times, and I think he's had Nerdrotic Bloke as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where scheduling is probably my biggest hurdle. I mean, I still work the full-time job, and I've had a lot of topsy-turvy because I work in healthcare. No, most people here have heard me talk about that. So you know, I didn't have a downtime during the pandemic. I was actually working 10, 12-hour days. Like, there was no
Yeah.
stop. So, scheduling has been probably my biggest hurdle. And I totally am an owner of that. And hopefully that can evolve and change. But yeah, if I was doing this full time, it would be chasing down those type of conversations,
Yeah.
more specific conversations. I kind of call them pop talk, where it can just be more like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about, rather than just being like, what's your background story, or is it just about comic books? What? No, it's just be, this is the kind of topic. So that'd be my answer to your question. Thanks for that, my friend.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, folks, I hope you have enjoyed your time hanging out with us, and your day is blessed and good. Hopefully you are connected to this guy, can get to know him and his channel, support him, because YouTubers doing cool YouTube things, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy supporting. So, Jay, my friend, keep in touch. We'll talk again soon.
Will do. Thank you very much for having me.